Ready? What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo.
So, guys, we are recapping UFC Vegas 113. Just finished up. Mario Bautista looked about as good as you could look in a main event fight. So, Nick, let's start with that one.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We'll get to any of the comments in the chat here after we give the breakdown. But, you know, so Oliveira, right? Vinicius Oliveira, known for his knockouts, known as a really good power puncher. But what I said in the lead up to this fight was that, you know, in his last 3 wins, he's fought better competition. Nothing quite as elite as Mario Bautista. And all three of those were 3-round fights, and they were all won by decision. So my concern was with a guy that cuts 50 pounds, how bad are the later rounds going to look for him as the fight progresses? Well, we didn't get the answer to that question because Mario Bautista looked about as flawless as you can look in a main event.
Yeah, I mean, people forget off of one loss to Umar Nurmagomedov. They think, okay, Mario's washed. He's not the guy that we thought he was. Mario Bautista is one of the most skilled fighters in the bantamweight division, and he's good everywhere.
Yeah.
He gave Umar enough trouble to where Umar decided, all right, I have a couple ways I can win this fight, and I'm going to try to keep it to that. And I'm not really going to go for anything extracurricular or funky because Mario Bautista is really good everywhere. And Vinicius Oliveira, obviously he's going to be a threat to many people because he has one-shot KO power in a lightweight class. But experience is a real thing, and it's an attribute to the highest level, especially if you don't have heavy mileage on your body and on your chin. So Mario Bautista's in this nice place where he's technically in the prime age of his career, and he has veteran experience in the UFC at the highest level. Not really doesn't get beat that much.
Yeah.
But he's also not so experienced where it's detrimental to his health and his speed and all of that. So I think that Mario Bautista is living in a bantamweight division that is absolutely stacked. It's going to be hard for him to get to a title shot. But as these guys start to leave the division or move out, he's going to be there. And I don't think he's going anywhere for the next 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 years. So as long as he stands the test of time, keeps winning, keeps making good call outs. He wants a revenge fight against Corey Sandhagen. I think he made a great call out. And honestly, that fight could go either way because both guys are so good everywhere. Bautista realized, okay, if I want to become world champion, I got to fix a couple of things. Needless to say, he went through this camp after the Umar loss, fixed a couple of things, and he looked like a world beater tonight.
Well, if you want to fight for a title at bantamweight, you need to be good enough to beat Corey Sandhagen. You know, Corey Sandhagen is right there on the edge of, you know, the top guys in the division.
Yep.
He did 5 rounds with Umar in a title fight. Now, it was a clear-cut decision loss, but at the end of the day, Corey Sandhagen is the guy. And if you have a loss against him, you want to revenge that, or avenge that, I should say. You know, that's a great call out, especially while things shake out, because now we have O'Malley back in the picture. We have Merab. We don't know exactly when he's coming back. And we have Peter Yan as the champion and Umar. So, you know, Umar's already got the win over Bautista. So he knows, like, hey, I'm a couple away from a title fight. I'm getting better. I'm only 30 years old. Merab's not going to be in this division very long if he keeps fighting much longer because Merab's, you know, pushing his mid-30s. And the weight cut, from what I understand, is brutal for Merab. So things are going to shake out there. Things are going to shake out with Peter. Things are going to shake out with Sean and Umar. And but talking about the fight for a second, because Oliveira, to me, has a lot of potential, but he has a lot of things that he needs to clean up in his game. His striking, to me, was awfully telegraphed tonight. His wrestling initiatives were also a little bit telegraphed. But the main thing is the cardio. And my big concern for Vinicius Oliveira as he continues is, I mean, he was sitting on the mat, mouth open, saying, I need water after that first round.
Yeah, just 1 round.
And it's like, okay, this was your main eventing. This is your first real, you know, test on the big show. You went 5 minutes of a potential 25 and you look like you're ready to throw the towel in. That's a problem. And I wonder how much of that is his preparation and how much of that is the fact that he cuts over 50 pounds. I mean, the guy lives around 190 pounds. What do you think it is? Do you think he can build a good gas tank at 35, or do you think it's just going to be impossible?
you can always improve, right? There's ways you can train properly and get, better numbers, but at his age and at the time, and it's hard to do that. You're not going to make, leaps and bounds of progress in short order. So obviously he's got to address it, but Vinicius Oliveira has no business in 5-round fights. He needs to be fighting 3-rounders. He doesn't need to be fighting the upper echelon of the ranked guys, and not even talking about the champions and contenders, but the guys who are waiting in the wing for their opportunity. They're so good.
Yeah.
And Vinicius Oliveira, a couple losses like that can set a guy back, where otherwise he's an entertaining guy. He seems like he'd be a fan favorite style that people could get behind. He's got a cool look. But the cream always rises, and people like Oliveira, they'll come on with a ton of steam. People see him, they're like, all right, this guy's got the great equalizer. Let's see how he does against these high level guys, because even though they're technically better than him, maybe they have more experience than him, like Mario Bautista, he can still change the fight with one shot.
Right.
And fighting a guy like Mario, you don't know what his level of confidence is going to be, what his mind state and game plan is. He could be nervous and gun shy, or he could be locked in looking to avenge a loss. And I really don't know how either mindset would change Oliveira's reaction, whereas Bautista can switch his game plan depending on the person he's fighting. So I think Oliveira's got a lot of holes in his game. He might have found a couple in Mario's game when he fought Umar, but needless to say, his holes were exposed against Mario tonight.
Well, that was the one thing that, Mario said in his post-fight speech was that, hey, I think this guy may have underestimated how good of a grappler I am because he watched the Umar fight. He's not Umar.
Right.
And that's exactly a perfect segue, because I want to talk about the grappling of Mario Bautista. Really good offensive grappling, turned the corner really well to get that takedown in the first round. Really nice reversals a couple of times, good sweeps, great scrambles, and then ultimately very aggressive, looking for the finish, which I love to see. He's looking for the Kimura. He used that as a transition to the back. By that time, I think Vinicius was already cooked, and he kind of, wasn't fighting too hard on the rear.
He was looking for a way out of the fight. Yeah, he was just looking to get out of the fight. When you start tapping before the choke is even locked up, you've mentally checked out and you are looking to roll over and give your back. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, I think the sky's the limit for Mario as long as the division keeps moving along and people start ushering out. I think good things will happen for Bautista. He'll be a thorn in the side for many guys that try to rise at 135. But, Oliveira needs to take a step back, go to a 3-round fight, and maybe fight something. How about this? Wellmaker.
I think he needs to do it at 145.
Malcolm Wellmaker, though, that'd be fun.
That would be fun, but I think he's going to hurt himself continuing to cut to 135.
For sure.
Either one of two things is true. One, he did no cardiovascular preparation for this fight, which I doubt that that's the case for a 5-round fight. Or number two is that he just simply didn't have the gas to last because of the weight cut. So if you like looking at the statistics here, 18 total strikes to almost 50 for Mario, 5 takedowns for Mario. He was out of 7, 71% on his takedowns, a submission attempt. And then of course he landed that submission. So, the stats kind of tell the story. It was domination from the beginning. So I think he should go to 145.
Yeah. But how can he fare? At one point, maybe he'll have a better gas tank, but his skills and his strength are not there to deal with a Mario Bautista. Nobody at 145 is weaker.
Yeah, well, that's true. Maybe he just is too fatigued. I'm a big believer that there's a tipping point with the weight cutting.
For sure.
I think it can benefit you to a degree, but I think it can hurt you. And I think Vinicius has flirted with and pushed past the point of it hurting him. But yeah, so let's move into the co-main event here. Amir Albazi versus Kyoji Horiguchi.
Interesting fight.
Interesting fight. I thought Albazi won the first round until I went back and looked at the stats because of that. I was like, not a whole lot's going on in the first round, and then he got that sort of flash knockdown.
Yeah.
But Horiguchi got right back up. I mean, what can you say about Horiguchi? I mean, he's back like he never left, right?
Yeah.
9 years out of the organization?
Yeah, and Albazi doesn't lose to hardly anybody. So to be at his age, back in the UFC on like, borrowed time, essentially. That's what you want to call it. Horiguchi is just making the most of this opportunity.
Yeah.
And he looked great. A lot of karate stance. He's very fast. His footwork is very high level. Evasive. It doesn't even begin to describe what he's able to do with his range. Albazi didn't score double-digit strikes, and that's including leg kicks. That's any sort of kick or punch or knee or elbow. He didn't score a single round with with double digits. So obviously, in a game of I touch you, you don't touch me, if you're not touching me even double digits, then I like my chances. And the grappling, there was a couple of good positions. Most of it wound up being dead-ended on the cage. A couple of good, duck unders to get to the back that Albazi had, but he didn't do a whole lot with it. Horiguchi defended well. And then the most impressive thing he was doing with his hands was the disruptive timing with his jab. He had a really good jab. He was able to land on Albazi, mostly because he just had a significant speed advantage.
Yeah.
I thought he was able to land most of his shots and burst in with a blitz style combo because he has that speed advantage. But speed isn't all that gets you there. It's speed plus disruptive timing.
Yeah.
You get somebody into a rhythm and then you break that rhythm. And as soon as they get comfortable in it, that's when you attack. And Horiguchi has a very deep understanding of that. So I'm excited to see what he does because, again, he doesn't have a long shelf life in his UFC return. But I do think they're going to try to make as many meaningful fights for him as possible. And hopefully we get a card out in Japan. I'd love to see him fight maybe an Urseg or a Tyra.
Yeah, Tatsuro Tyra would be. I mean, so that would be kind of like you said it when we were doing the live just a second ago, the old generation versus the new guard. Yeah. And, the couple things about Horiguchi. One, 125 is weird right now because you have a champion who won the belt in a strange fashion when Josh Van. So, what does the UFC do? Do they make a title fight in the absence of Alessandro Pantoja and put Van versus Kopp? I believe where there's smoke, there's fire. There seems to be some heat between those two happening on social media. Yeah. They're talking about contracts offered and rejected and accepted and change dates. So it seems like the UFC, if you're taking off face value, the back and forth between Manel Kopp and Josh Van, that those two are probably going to get in the cage for that undisputed belt at some time before Pantoja comes back.
For sure.
So that means for like the next 8 or 9 months, nobody's fighting for a title that's not named Manel Kopp, Joshua Van, or Alessandro Pantoja. So, Horiguchi now is probably going to be a top 5 guy after that win tonight. The UFC likes him. He's a marketable guy. As you said, his shelf life's not great. He's 35 years old.
Put him on the Pereira track. Just get him going, get him in front of as many eyes as possible. He's clearly got the skills. He can hang with everybody. People are interested in watching him fight, whether it's because he returned, whether it's his fight style, whatever it is. There's something to Horiguchi. So I'm excited to see what he does. And I think he'll make the most of it. Of course, there's the log jam right now, but things clear up very quickly. And I expected an active year for Horiguchi and a potentially a very promising 2027.
Yeah, well, I think Horiguchi, they put him against somebody like a Tyra or even like an Urseg or so. I'd have to see where Urseg is in the rankings. He may, after tonight's win, he may be too far down in the rankings. But looking at the statistics here, 99 strikes to 20.
Yeah.
And that speaks to, less than single digit or less than double digit strikes landed per round for Albazi. So tough go for Albazi. I think he was a guy that had some real promise at some point, but I think he's kind of, settling into his position as a top 5 gatekeeper. If you can beat him, you're probably in the top 5. If you can't beat him, you're probably outside the top 5. I still think he's got some good business left. Now let's get to the heavyweights. Yeah. So Jailton Almeida versus Rizvan Kuniev.
Yeah.
Kuniev kind of came out of the blue, lost a close decision to Curtis Blades, and now he's beating a guy who's number 6. So he's going to be taking a pretty massive jump in the rankings.
Yeah, and the heavyweight division could use an injection of some new names with some skills. And if you can beat Almeida, who's proven to be a pretty tough task for a lot of people, then obviously you belong. And Kuniev, it didn't make it the most exciting fight, but when you're fighting Almeida, it's hard. It takes 2 to tango. That's the oldest saying, right? These guys, they weren't that active. Dan Miragliotta had seen enough. Every time they tied up against the cage, he's like, nah, we're not playing that. You guys aren't doing anything. So it was kind of interesting to see Jalton be forced to strike because he doesn't really like to do it. And you would think, all right, well, the jig is up. They're not going to let me stand up against the wall, so let me start throwing. That's what I would assume people would say. I can't do what I want to do. They keep stopping me, so let me just chunk some leather. Instead, he just was waiting for shots, and Kuniev was the one pressuring forward, landing his shots, and then pushing him against the cage. Now, I don't want to call one guy stalling and one guy not stalling, but the activity in up against the cage is what defines the stalling. If you're trying, look, and if you're like foot stomping, remember the Kamaru Usman like constant foot stomping. I'm like, yeah, you can break that up because this is not really fun to watch. But if they're knees to the leg, knees to the body, some little short hooks or an uppercut slides through inside, maybe an elbow, that kind of stuff is enough to keep the fight from being broken up. Almeida doesn't do any of that. He's just out there to hold on to you until he can, force you to lose your balance and then get on top of you. Doesn't even really look for submissions down there either.
Yeah.
But he will find them if they're wide open. So I think Kuniev is what the UFC heavyweight division needs, but it's very interesting too to have a guy who was out of the rankings take the jump into number 6. Now he's in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Right now we're talking about a legit situation where he's going to be fighting nothing but ranked opponents. Jalton Almeida on the other hand, I mean, he's not a fan favorite.
No, I think the UFC was trying to give him, or not give him his walking papers, but start to push him in that direction because they're giving him an unranked guy, right? And a guy who they saw fight a good fight against Curtis Blades. Mm-hmm. Curtis was able to take him down in the first round, but Kuniev made the proper adjustments, right, in the second round and had success with the striking. So I think they're thinking, okay, Jalton's more of a submission threat than Curtis, obviously, but Curtis is a better wrestler. So if this guy can stay on the feet against Jalton, he should win the fight. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking the matchmakers kind of had in their heads, and it's exactly how it played out. When you look here, he doubled up on total strikes, 102 to 50.
It's MMA math that actually does work, right? They figured out, all right, the takedowns were his trouble, but Curtis Blades is a takedown expert. Jalton Almeida is not a takedown expert, but he knows how to get the fight to the ground.
Right.
Easier said than done against a guy like Kuniev. I don't think they wanted him to be as high ranked as he got. Yeah. He wound up being number 6. The division's kind of bare. But the UFC is in their Paramount era. They're in their entertainment era. And unfortunately, that style in the heavyweight division, the most prestigious title in the world, is on the line. You can't have that kind of performances time and time again and expect good things from the entertainment era of the UFC. Whether you like it or you hate it, that's what we're in. Paddy the Baddy just got a title shot. Diego Lopez just got a title shot. So those type of guys are the ones that are going to move forward. And this is the type of matchmaking that's going to bump him right back into the 10 to 15 range, right, setting up perfectly for a potential fight on the White House lawn. Gable Stevenson. I've been saying Marcus Buchecha versus Gable Stevenson should be on the White House lawn. If they don't make that fight because Buchecha might not have a great chance in that one, then give Gable Stevenson the more experienced version of Buchecha in Almeida. I think that would actually be pretty entertaining, and I like Gable Stevenson's chances because I don't see a world where Jalton takes him down. And if you're trying to get rid of somebody, you get them on a losing streak, you give your next cash cow for all intents and purposes, especially an American one, his opportunity to shine against a guy with a favorable style for him. So I think Gable Stevenson's fighting on the White House lawn. The only question is it between Buchecha or Jalton Almeida?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's some really interesting matchmaking. I think that would be a really unfavorable match for Almeida because he would certainly not be able to take the Olympic gold medalist down.
And then we get the Olympic gold medalist with a ranking by his name by halfway through this year. So,
and the interesting thing to me, Nick, is that Jalton, I don't want to just pile on him without saying anything good. In the third round, he did look to make it interesting with some straight punches. He engaged a little bit in the striking with Kuniev. But ultimately, it's the stalling tactics that make him not a fan favorite.
Right.
I don't mind grappling. I've said that 100 times. I love good grappling. Charles Oliveira, even Merab. Like, I don't mind Merab's style of grappling whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if you're just holding double overhooks to try to hold the opponent against the cage, And then if you get a takedown, you're just looking to establish either top position on half guard, or mount or side mount, and just kind of hold it and use like, the littlest shots that you can to keep the, a stand up from happening. That's never going to be exciting. So Kuniev is good. I mean, the heavyweight division, let's just call a spade a spade. It is a dumpster fire right now. So anybody that can, fog a mirror and beat somebody in the top 10 is, going to get a good matchup next.
Yeah. And they could climb very quickly because the division needs it. And, it's movie season at the top too. So once John Jones potentially fights, Tom Aspinall, we don't know what his condition is, but I don't think he'll be fighting until at least the end of this year. So there's a lot of room at the top of the division, to be honest, because we know John Jones has got one more fight. We know Pereira's going up, but he's got about 3 fights left max. So you're going to have an empty division. If Curtis Blades holds on long enough, he's going to be champion, right? If Curtis Blades just sticks around long enough, he's going to get that belt. There's just no depth there. And all the guys that have the claim to the title or the interim title or the next shot, they're either not from the division or they're new to the division or they're on their last leg. So it's one of those situations where if you're a heavyweight and you have the potential to emerge right now would be your time.
Yeah, 100%.
Who was next?
So marc-andré Barriault and Mikhail Oleksiejczuk.
Great fight.
Good fight. Marc-andré, made some noise in that fight. He looked pretty good.
Yeah, he looked great. And for a big underdog too. And we knew going into this, if it stayed a long point fighting style, Mikhail was going to win the fight. He knows how to fight at range. And I really like what the differences that I see in him now that he's with the Fighting Nerds. There's not just is there a technical ability and technical difference that you're seeing, that he's leveling up, but there's a confidence. Yeah, there's sort of a Fighting Nerd confidence that he seems to have, and I'm excited to see what he does. But Marc-andré Barriault made him earn every dollar tonight, and they'll probably get some bonus money because that was a great fight, and there were some other fights that were great, but they did enough to earn, especially in that third round, a bonus. Yeah. And Marc-andré Barriault again brought the heat at the end. The last half of the fight was wild. Yeah. In that second round, he bit on his mouthpiece, closed distance, got nasty in dirty boxing range, just kept closing distance. It looked a couple of times like Oleksiejczuk was running out of gas and feeling some of those body shots, feeling some of those headshots, but he's a tough guy. Nothing was able to drop him. And Barriault's been in the game long enough to where he's just going to be some up, some down, but I'll always tune in to watch him fight. Great fighter. Great guy.
Yeah. Good fight. Put up a great fight. And a guy like Marc-andré is going to be the kind of guy who will expose some weaknesses in the game of an up and comer.
For sure.
Oleksiejczuk is really good at range. He's really light on his feet. He lands good, long, straight punches. Yeah. Needs some work in the short distance.
And needs more power. Yeah. He also needs more power because he's good at point fighting, but at that weight class, anybody can change a fight with one. At 185, you're just dealing with big guys.
And he's got knockouts, but it's, I think as he gets to it's much like Vinicius Oliveira we talked about in the beginning of this video. It's easy to have a lot of knockouts on your way up. We know guys here that fight in the local circuit that, had 7-8 knockouts in a row, and then they get to the UFC and they win decisions or they lose decisions, and so as you progress, it gets harder and harder to find that knockout. The true elite knockout artists, think of like an Alex Pereira, an Ilia Topuria, right? People who are knocking out the best fighters in the world. That is not where Oleksiejczuk is yet. But I think he's got some good years ahead of him. I think he needs to clean up his close range boxing. He needs to work on his clinch. Marc-andré showed that tonight. But all in all, pretty good.
Maybe like a Jack Hermanson next or somebody like that, catch him on his way out. And that something like that could be good.
That's not a bad fight. My favorite fight on the card, the next one, John Matsumoto versus Farid Basharat.
Great fight. Fun fight.
Bantamweight is so good, right? The fact that these two guys were unranked coming into this fight is crazy. Now, I think Basharat will probably have, and he certainly should have a number next to his name after that.
Farid Basharat is the new Zabit Magomed Sharipov.
That's like a big statement.
And it's a big statement. Yeah. But the way he moves, I'm pretty sure he studied a lot of what Zabit does.
Of course.
Zabit's style is very good. It was unorthodox. It was hard to understand, but there was a real speed to it. And then his ability to close that distance with a longer frame. partially he looks a little bit like Zabit, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about body type. The way you find somebody that looks a little bit like you think
Same
you could
body
move a little
type,
bit
yeah.
like them. And then I believe that's probably one of the people that he looked at, because some of his attacks were very Zabit-esque, looked really good, and his speed to get those extracurriculars, those interesting one-off shots, spinning back fists, jump knees, anything like that. It's hard for people to do that because they simply don't have the timing and the speed to get it up and then get it back. He has the speed to get those type of shots off, and there's no telegraphing. Oliveira needs to learn from him, because Oliveira will step back and try to counter with a 2, and you can see it coming from a mile away. When Basharat was doing it, you don't see him even doing a little bit of anything before he spins completely and hits you with a back fist. So I really like him. He's Zabit 2.0 as far as I'm concerned. And I believe there will be a ranking next to his name at the end of this week. But yeah, 135 just got a new one, and I can't wait to see who they pair him up against. Maybe a Cameron Simon. That'd be pretty fun, because Cameron was pretty fast.
Yeah.
The Safa, the guy from South Africa. You know, he's come across some tough times lately, but you know, that's the nature of this game. If you're losing, then you're going to be the stepping stone. And if you're winning, then you're going to find a stone to step on. I think Farid has a very bright future.
Yeah, for sure. And John Matsumoto, I mean, what can you say? The guy's tough.
Yeah.
He's tough as nails. I mean, Farid was really good with his timing. You know, what was
good.
always, exciting about that fight was every time he would land a combination, it would be different strikes at a different cadence, and it would always be something you didn't expect.
Right.
Now, John Matsumoto is very tough, but he's a little bit more orthodox in what he does. He was walking forward, throwing big strikes. God bless him. He was trying to end that fight in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
This, for me, was fight of the night.
Yeah.
John just didn't quite have the tools to beat Basharat, but at 26 years old, a lot of bright things on the horizon for John Matsumoto.
And Basharat too. Yeah, he moved so well. He's a great starter.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that first round is going to be hard for anybody. You could put him in the first round against Peter Yan, Sugar Sean. He would probably do pretty good against those guys in the first round. I'm not saying he beats them, but he starts very well. And with that kind of speed, and then just the element of surprise, it's very hard to catch on to what somebody's doing when they're throwing that kind of arsenal effectively at you that early.
Yeah, and final fight on the main card, Jacoby versus Julius Walker.
Yeah, the curtain jerker. That was a good fight too.
Really good fight. KO for Jacoby. Round 2 came at 1:42. Really, the story here is only 12 strikes landed by Julius Walker. Had a couple of good pickup, slam down sort of takedowns.
Some gentle ones, and then a heavier one towards the end of the first round. Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. You know, he had a good jab. He had a good clean 1-2. He was finding his mark in the first round. But Jacoby, one of those just tough country guys,
old leather boot. Wants to fight on the White House. I feel like they should let him do it.
100% they should let him do it. I'd love to see him in there. And, you know, at 205, again, kind of like heavyweight, there's not that many names except for the ones that are right there sitting at the top that everybody knows. But there's definitely some matchups up at 205 for him that I think would be pretty fun. And obviously, you get a guy like that on the White House card, he's going to entertain. You're going to give him, he's going to wind up giving the fans exactly what they want to see. And early prelim, Dustin Jacoby, White House.
Well, it's interesting because they're saying there's only going to be 6 or 7 fights on the card. So is there even going to be a prelim at all?
There better be. They can't set all that stuff up and pay $200,000 to change the grass just for 6 fights.
No, that's crazy.
That whole thing they're building that
$200 million, I think it is.
No, to change just alone the grass.
Oh wow!
Because once they do the event there, they're going to have to change the grass and do the whole entire lawn.
Yeah.
So that grass alone costs $200,000.
Holy moly! All right, so that was a quick recap. Let's get to some of the comments now. Let me see here. Let's go up to the top. So, okay, thank you guys for tuning in. As promised, we're going to get to the comments here. We didn't want to mess up the flow of the conversation too early, but official VOR, Vinicius is a bum. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a harsh thing to say, right? But
the truth hurts sometimes.
Didn't look. I mean, when you're in a main event for the first time and you're sitting on the canvas, taking your mouthpiece out, breathing heavily, and like telling your corner, like, I need water.
Yeah, not good.
Like you fell flat on your first opportunity in the big game. So I get the criticism. Joey says, I'm so happy for Bautista. He's probably getting the 100K too. I hope so. I mean, he definitely deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, the 25K is a lock because he got the finish, but that's a performance. That's a bonus worthy performance in my opinion.
Yeah, it may. I mean, the Jacoby finish may have been more brutal, and there may have been some knockouts that were better. The last second submission on the prelims, but Mario Bautista showed up and showed out in the main event. I think he deserves 100K.
100%.
So Siraj said, how good is Umar's grappling?
Next level.
Look at how good Bautista is. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right?
Right.
And that's what we talked about Vinicius, with a lot of knockouts. But then when you look at his last couple of fights against higher echelon guys, not so many knockouts, right? A lot of decisions. So it's all relative.
Yeah.
Also, Siraj, you guys think Oliveira is a fraud or Mario's just very good?
He's not a fraud. He's he's definitely good, and he's going to be a problem for a lot of people. But you'd never take a guy like that that's so green in the UFC and give him to one of those experienced guys. Again, like I'm saying, experienced but not old.
Right.
Veteran but not old. Right smack dab in his prime years. And also coming off a loss with a guy who's mentally stable. Mario Bautista doesn't seem like the kind of guy that gets flustered and is going to derail his whole career off one loss.
No.
He seems like the kind of guy that went and locked in. He went and found the right training partners for this camp. He went to bounce back big time, and he did it in a big way. I think Vinicius needs to move back down. Like I'm saying, Wellmaker would be good. Somebody like that, or like you're saying, move up to 45. But again, I don't think his speed is there to be a fast guy moving up to 45.
Yeah.
And if he's not powerful enough to defend much and doesn't have the gas tank to defend a guy like Mario, I don't know if he can stop those guys at 145.
Yeah, I think fraud. I mean, it depends on how you define fraud.
Oliveira versus Aaron Pico. What do y'all think about that?
At 140, I think Aaron cleans him up at 145.
But if he lands one shot,
yes, that would be interesting. I think. I mean, eventually his body's going to force him to.
Yeah.
We saw what happened with Cameron Smotherman not that long ago. He face planted at the weigh-in.
Yeah.
So it's like, I say this all the time. Weight cutting has an advantage to a tipping point, and then past that tipping point, it becomes a massive disadvantage.
Right.
I think Vinicius has passed that tipping point. I think he's a fraud if you want to put it in terms of like, is he an elite level guy? Then if that's what we're defining, then yes, I would say yes. If we're talking about a guy who's maybe in the top 10 to top 20, I think he's probably there. Let's see. I think that is it on the
I think he'll get to the top 10, top 15 one day, but he's got a ways to go, and there's a lot of good matchups for him outside of the rankings. And like we were talking about, maybe he fights Matsumoto.
Exactly.
There you go. There's one. That's a tough fight for Oliveira, in my opinion. But
sorry, real quick, this one's not showing up on YouTube, but it's a shout out I put on the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, put it on the screen for us.
Shout out. Let's go. Thank you all so much. I'm not sure what you said. It's coming up any second.
Man,
now.
You guys doing an amazing job. I subscribed to the channel when you guys were at 1K. Let's go. Thank you so much. Yeah.
OG fan right there. Let's go.
We appreciate that, my friend. Thank you for watching. And
how do you like the channel now? We're over 15K, so we've made some adjustments over time. New studio. Who dis?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we really appreciate you guys. We've been doing these live streams for the first 3 fights of 2026. We committed to trying to do all of the fight cards of 2026 to go live. Tonight is the first night that we actually stopped the live and then came back live again to do an immediate recap. And Johnny, love it. Hopefully we get more live streams. Yes, sir. We definitely will. We have a little break next week, but that actually gives us an opportunity to put out some content that you guys really seem to enjoy, which is the deep dives on the fight. So
breakdowns and predictions.
Yeah, we're looking to do deep dives on the Fluffy versus Sean Strickland fight.
Yeah.
And then we're probably going to turn our sights on the BMF fight and do like a 30-minute episode where we just, watch a bunch of fights of both guys and really do a deep dive, from a technical analysis standpoint.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't seen it yet, check out our last video if you like technical talk, because we had our coach, Crew Bob Perez, who's coached Kevin Holland, Derek Lewis, Lauren Murphy, Yadier Del Valle,
Daniel Pineda. The list goes on and on. And on.
He's going to be making his 100th UFC corner walk at UFC Houston in 2 weeks. He is a wealth of knowledge. It was a different type of episode where we kind of had a free-flowing conversation and just talked to him about old fight stories and got his opinion on, you know, Ilia Topuria versus Alex Pereira, who's the better striker, what makes these guys so good. So that's an interesting episode.
A lot of fun topics over there. And guys, shamelessly, we are like this close legitimately to 10K on Instagram. So that's been the slowest burn for us as far as growth goes, but this is the year we're going to take that page up. All sorts of good content goes up on Instagram from in the short form. So check that out. Help us push over to 10K. If you're the one that pushes us over to 10K, take a screenshot and send us to it in the DMs. Let us know. That'd be super awesome. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're going to record some more content this week, and we will see you in the next video. Y'all have a great night and enjoy the week off from fighting.
Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Take care.